Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News online edition. Just ahead, Vice President Cheney's close aide Louis Scooter Libby is indicted in the CIA leak investigation. John Roberts has details and analysis from the White House. Also, millions of American homes are at risk for sinkholes. We'll look at why in our Consumer Alert. And what is the most difficult thing about being the future King of England? Prince Charles will tell you in a rare interview. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News online edition. Well, the story leaked out this morning when a source told our Gloria Borger that Vice President Cheney's top aide, Louis Scooter Libby, would be indicted. The Justice Department confirmed it at midday. Libby was charged with 1 count of obstructing justice, 2 counts of perjury for lying to a grand jury, and 2 counts of lying to FBI agents. Karl Rove, the president's most influential aide, was not charged, but at a mid-afternoon press conference, Special Prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald said he is not closing down the investigation, which means there could be more charges. Here's John Roberts at the White House.
The special prosecutor dropped the hammer on Dick Cheney's chief of staff today, a stinging 5-count indictment that ended Louis Libby's career at the White House and could send him away for 30 years.
To be frank, Mr. Libby gave the FBI a compelling story.
According to the indictment, the story Libby told the FBI and the grand jury was that he heard about CIA operative Valerie Plame from reporters. In fact, says Fitzgerald, Libby learned about Plame from several government officials, including the vice president, then passed that information on to reporters.
He was at the beginning of the chain of the phone calls, the first official to disclose this information outside the government to a reporter, and that he lied about it afterwards, under oath and repeatedly.
Libby handed in his resignation this morning, was stripped of his White House pass and security clearance, and was gone before the indictments went public. The vice president expressed deep regret, calling Libby one of the most capable and talented individuals I have ever known. The president, whose administration has been rocked by the investigation and charges, said it was a sad day.
Scooter's worked tirelessly on behalf of the American people and sacrificed much in the service to this country. He served the Vice President and me through extraordinary times in our nation's history. I have instructed every member of my staff to fully cooperate.
And the investigation is not over. Karl Rove escaped indictment today, but according to sources, still faces a possible perjury charge. Fitzgerald wants to know why Rove didn't tell the grand jury about a telephone conversation with Time reporter Matt Cooper in which he identified Valerie Plame. Rove's legal team hopes to convince the prosecutor it was an honest omission. And to see Rove this morning, he feels pretty good about his chances.
I'm going to have a great Friday and a fantastic weekend.
The case started with the outing of a CIA operative, but Fitzgerald found no crime in that. It didn't sit well with Plame's husband, former Ambassador Joe Wilson. In an exclusive interview for Sunday's 60 Minutes, he told Ed Bradley,
after Mr. Rove said about my wife, she's fair game, I would like to see him frog marched out of the White House. Whether it's in handcuffs or not is immaterial. If it was not illegal, it was certainly, it seems to me, of dubious ethical comportment. And I think we deserve better from our senior public servants.
In a statement through his attorney late today, Louis Libby said he is confident that he is going to be cleared of the charges. But if what Fitzgerald says is true, he's got an awful lot of explaining to do to a jury. Bob?
This next story is about household horrors, but it has nothing to do with Halloween. More than 22 million homes in this country have septic systems buried outside, and you may not even know if you do until something dreadful happens. Here's Mika Brzezinski with our Friday Consumer Alert.
Hey, James, you want a fruit snack?
Jerry Carter never thought twice about letting her 2-year-old son play in the backyard, when one afternoon, little James vanished.
He just disappeared? Right. He just fell right through.
As this photo shows, the ground under James had literally caved in. He had fallen into an abandoned cesspool.
He was in mud, water. He was up to his chin.
And you couldn't get to him?
No. I couldn't reach his head. He was looking up, just screaming hysterically.
Experts say millions of homes have these abandoned tanks under their yards. Before neighborhoods had sewage lines, every home had its own cesspool, but their concrete covers were not made to last forever. Jim Von Meyer is a safety consultant for the septic industry.
Concrete, after about 30, 40, 50 years, it starts to get weak and starts to cave in, especially the type of concrete they used back in those days.
So we're hitting high time for these things to pop.
Yeah, you're going to see that this is going to become a very common occurrence all over the country now.
Cesspool collapses have already made headlines across the nation. New Jersey, a 92-year-old woman dies after plunging 15 feet down into a cesspool behind her house. Texas, a 2-year-old girl was killed after an abandoned tank at her home caved in. In all cases, the homeowners had no idea the holes even existed.
How do you know whether it has one of these hazards?
You actually have to look at the records. If the house was built in 1953, but the sewer line didn't come through until 1965, you know you've got one in your yard.
Oh, my gosh, you!
Little James survived without a scratch, but Jerry has a message for homeowners. Find out whether your home has a cesspool and whether or not it was filled in.
Those people that just say, oh, it's never going to happen. Our yard's fine. No, you don't know.
Mika Brzezinski, CBS News, Allentown, New Jersey.
Prince Charles and his wife Camilla are coming to the United States next week for the first time since they got married. Steve Croft of 60 Minutes sat down with the prince for his first American interview in more than a decade. Steve?
Bob? If you're the Prince of Wales, there isn't much reason to give interviews. You don't have to run for election, and your only real competition for higher office is your mother and your oldest son. So very few people know what Prince Charles is really like. And he's managed to ride out the public scandals, and now he wants to reintroduce himself and his new wife to the American people. What is the most difficult part of your job? Besides dealing with people like me.
Dear. Well, what's the most difficult part of my job? Well, I've always believed that ever since I was quite young, I think that the most important thing is to be relevant, and so I mean, it isn't easy, as you can imagine, because if you say anything, people then say it's all right for you to say that. It's very easy to just dismiss anything I say. So it's difficult, but what I've tried to do is to put my money where my mouth is.
To be relevant? How much of his money does he give away?
He gives away about a quarter, somewhere between $5 and $6 million, and he raises about $200 million a year for something called the Prince's Charities, which is a lot of money, and I'm not sure anybody else would be doing that if he weren't.
I must admit a bias. My view of the British royalty is sort of parallel to our founding fathers. But what is he really like? I mean, what did you think of him?
Well, I think for somebody who's never had to take out the trash or pay rent, he's surprisingly on top of things. I mean, he's got the best education, the best tailor, the best of everything. He knows how to fly helicopters, jet planes. He's got lots of experience, and he's very personal. I mean, he's been doing this for 30 years, shaking hands and being charming. That is the main thing about his job, and he is about as charming as anybody I've ever met in my entire life. And more candid than I thought he was going to be about lots of things.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing this interview. For sure, you'll see the whole interview on Sunday night on 60 Minutes. More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Monday's broadcast, Eye on America, you'll meet a man whose daughter was accidentally killed in a high-speed police chase. Now he's on a crusade to get police departments to stop these chases. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.